Hi everyone, it's Blesky P coming in from Melbourne and coming in from the United States. We got Cathy, CC Carlson. We've got a very special guest with us today, Carl Percival. And let me tell you, Cathy, give us an introduction to Carl.
Well, I've been trying to get Carl on the show since last spring. Carl Percival, he comes from Britain originally, and now he's in California. And he had a beautiful, like a Hollywood location that he used to own, right? And yeah, so I'm introducing him now, Carl Percival.
Right now, how can I beat that? I first met Cathy once, but this is the second time. And apparently some of the things that I've had quite a fun life, I must admit. So there's several things which I find odd. Firstly, let's get Benny Hill out the way. I met him when I was a kid. He came out of a pantomime at Struttermill Theatre, where I think it was possibly one of his first gigs. And then I met him when I was about 30. He spoke to me. He came, when I yelled to him, he came and spoke to me. And then I met him outside the London County Council Hall when about 1959, 60, when I was 13. And I yelled out, Benny, and he came and spoke to me. He had a young lady. He was walking down the embankment with a young lady. Well, that was it. I mean, I've had a pretty different life over the years, as I can't spend hours on it. But from electrician, supermarket manager, television, theatre, music, winning dance competitions, there were a whole lot of things. I never expected years later to end up at Thames Television in the wardrobe department. And I left there actually as chief costume supervisor. I did well there. And I got put on the Benny Hill show. Well, I got put in charge of little Jackie, the bald one that you tapped on the head all the time. Well, it was just strange because Brian Lawler was looking after Benny. I was looking after Jackie. And then he was a friend of mine. Both Brian Lawler was a friend of mine. So we worked together and we helped create a few tricks for Benny to help him out with costume problems, buttons flying off and things. Anyway, I got talking to Benny, obviously, because I don't have this thing of, I'm not into famous names. So I treat people as people. We work with them. And I treat myself more as a butler, not a dresser. If they wanted things, I would go and feed them if I had to get them. And I met Benny Hill actually in London a couple of times, and near when he lived by the Albert Hall. I don't know why I was all in London, but I travelled all over London. I had a lot of fun in London. It was a fun place for me. And I found him to be intelligent, sincere, generous. He gave away things, and he doted on Brian, my friend Brian, who was married with a couple of kids. Benny loved the family, you know. And I got a phone call from Brian while I was here saying that they found poor Benny Hill dead in his room. They climbed up on a ladder to look through the window, apparently, and he'd passed away. Possibly because Benny wasn't very exercise conscious, you know, but he was a very wonderful man. He was very pleasant and kindly. I would call him not a dear friend, but I would call him a nice...
He was a gentleman. He was a gentleman.
Acquaintance. He was a really nice acquaintance. You know, I didn't socialise with him, but when I met him in London, I could talk to him and we could chat about trips to Asia and things like that. So that's the story. And working on his shows, it was always a party.
Fantastic. That's really made my day, Carl. That's made my day. But I want to ask you, other celebrities coming through there, Thames, right? Did you get to meet like Tom Jones, or who did you actually meet coming through the shows?
I never met Tom Jones, but I caused some problems for Perry, what was his name? Perry,
Como.
What?
Was he American, Perry Como?
Yeah. When I was an apprentice electrician, I was working in a theatre in Wood Green, and he came along and he was practicing at the theatre. Well, we were told we had to work, and you can't tell your boss you're not going to work. And he said, if all this noise when I'm on stage, I'm not working. And I said, well, we can't stop. And he got really upset about it. And I said, well, you've got to sort it out. Don't attack us. And I was only about, I would say, getting on for 17, 18, something like that. And I got a bit fed up with it. He was like very cocky. Anyway, all the seats were covered in tarpaulins, so to keep the dust off. We were doing the electrical work or something. And I thought, oh, he said, I'm going to walk off if there's any more noise. And I thought, oh.
Is he the American guy? Who is he?
Yeah. Perry Como, wasn't it? Didn't he sing?
Don't know, I'm asking you.
Catch a Falling Star. Was that the guy?
I'm not sure. That's what I'm asking.
Anyway, I crept under the, without telling anyone, I got under the canvas, and when he started singing, I started hammering, and he stormed off the stage, and everyone was saying, who the hell was that? And I'm cringing, laughing under the canvas. So, there was
what a story. But was there anybody else came through? Did any of the Beatles come through while you were there?
No, I met Police, and I made a helmet for David Bowie, but he was very, they keep themselves to themselves, you know. Morecambe and Wise were one of my favourites. I love them. They were good, almost friends, really. I cooked for them, and they came and ate my beef burgers in the dressing room, and we had a lot of fun. I've always found working at Thames was easy. You know, it was an easy life, a well-paid easy life too. You know, I've got no complaints about working at Thames Television.
I think that's an amazing story. Now, Cathy, if you've got any questions about Carl's musical aspirations or what he does with music, go for it.
Oh, let me tell you quickly. I'll fill you in. I started off, I picked a guitar up, or stringed, yeah, I think it was a guitar, when I was about 13. And it was in a cellar in South London, South Norwood in Southwest London. And Bill Haley was top of the pops, so that would have been 1959. And he was singing Rock Around the Clock.
Yeah, that's right, 50, yeah, it was early 50s. I think it was 55.
59. No, hang on, 1956, I was 13.
I think you're right. Now listen, do you know that song, Maybe I'm a Londoner?
Yeah.
Can you grab a guitar or banjo?
I'm a Londoner and I think of her wherever I go.
You got a great voice. Can you pick up a banjo or guitar there and just play something?
Well, I set banjo up when I was 16, and when I was 21, I was really getting into it, and my banjo player I was courting a girl at the time in Hampstead. And nearby, I looked up this banjo player called George Edward Morris. And I decided to try and get lessons off him. Well, I knocked on the door, and a woman said, oh, no, he doesn't do lessons anymore. And I don't know, I said something. And she said, okay, I'll go up and talk to him anyway. He asked me to come up and see him. And there was this old guy, and I mean, he was old. And I thought, oh, and I started having lessons. And he told me that he'd been playing in the Dixieland Jazz Band in 1922. And I was learning traditional style banjo off him. And he gave me a banjo, which is from the 1900s.
That's great. Did he give you that as a present, did he?
He gave it to me for being a good student.
That's amazing. Can I ask you, do you remember George Formby?
Oh, God, yes. One of my favourites. I watched all his movies. Amazing. I loved it. I'm not a snob, but these people who say George Formby never played banjo, oh, BS. I thought he was wonderful. I don't care. When I'm cleaning windows, I love it. I've got the music.
I love your sense of humor. Let me tell you about that other guy. I love Reg Varney from On the Buses. Right. I love that show. On the Buses. That's a great show.
You know, life's funny, isn't it? How
Yeah.
it goes round in circles. I could tell, I'd love to write a comedy on supermarkets, because I ended up running them for about 7 years. And oh my God, we had so much fun. There's so many stories. I mean, playing banjo. Anyway, getting back to George Edward Morris, I was having lessons of him, and then I went one day and they said he's too sick to see you. And I stopped going. He stopped doing lessons. And then, oh God, years ago now, he passed away. And then I realized how famous he was by the magazines that were talking about him, you know.
That's an amazing story. Cathy, have you got any questions?
Now, I hope I get this right. What did you do in Harlem? Did you have a venue, or did you just perform there, or what happened when in Hollywood days?
Well, what happened was I was singing folk songs. We were folk singers, and we got pretty good at it. And on one occasion, they asked me to frontline an Anglo-French folk festival, and I wasn't interested in being famous, you know, so I told them, no, I'm not interested. But I was singing at folk clubs, and I sang at one. Peggy Seeger and Bert Lloyd were there, I think, on that night. It was in a cellar in central London. But I sang at the Teachers Training College, the Girls Teachers Training College. I sang at their folk club, and I started singing at the miners' clubs. We had all the coal pits at that time, a lot more than they have now. And I was treated like Elvis when I went there, and I was only about 17, 18. It was wonderful. And I played in bars. And then as I got older, I was still singing folk songs, but I started doing comedy in a local bar for a couple of years every Saturday night. And it's funny, you don't know how you're getting known. People would phone the bar and say, we're only coming up there when Carl's on. Well, I went with my brother John and his wife to a bar miles away, and they had a stage and we were waiting for the show, and the guy came out and said, oh, we have a celebrity in the audience. And I go, oh. And he goes, we got Buttercup Joe here, which was the nickname they gave me in the pub I sang because of a song. And they calls I Buttercup Joe. And I thought, oh my God, come on up and do a number, you know. But that's been like my life. I've sort of going around in circles and meeting people that I didn't expect to meet. And since I've been in America, I did the party. I was a roller skate DJ at the local roller rink, so they knocked it down. And I met Halle Berry, very sweet lady, Will Smith, Third Rock from the Sun group were there. I just keep bumping into people. It seems to happen. I don't know why.
That's an amazing story. But I got to say, did you have, what was it? Did you run a club or a food place? What did you run in Hollywood there?
Oh, I owned a bar. I had some money left. I had property. I did okay in Croydon, where I was living in London, and I sold some, and I had some money sitting in the bank. And a friend of mine, a Thai friend in Thai Town here, he had shares in a bar. And I said, what's happening? He said, well, the others have upset immigration and they've all fled back to Thailand. And I said, well, what about your money you're putting in? And he said, well, I can't afford it. And I said, look, how much? So I bought out.
Yeah, you bought out people and you went into the business.
Yeah, I bought a bar, literally, because anyway, it was a music bar.
Can I ask, who's the most famous people that came through the bar, and where was it?
Well, we didn't have famous players, but I did spend, oh God, what's the guitar player? Oh, I spent 3 hours talking to him.
Is he American or English?
No. What? Oh, hang on. Oh God, I can't. Terrible. I can't remember his name. It's called old age. Yeah, and then we had the lead guy in The Ring, that one that was shot in New Zealand. We had quite a few stars come in, but I wasn't. As I said, we ran the bar mainly for fun. We never made any money, you know. But we had a rock and roll night. We had a Thai traditional night. We had a bebop night. All these different nights had different people, and then we had open mic, which was always a laugh. You can imagine some of the people that turned up. You know, one chord, and that was. You know, I had a big walking stick and would pull them.
I like the way you're like a total entertainer. You just bring out exuberance in people and you entertain them. I reckon that's great.
I think. Yeah, I intimidate people sometimes. I've been told that, you know. I got some wonderful stories to tell you, but it would take too long because I'm one of these people that I always feel that if they can do it, I can do it. I have this attitude that if you go and work for $5, you work as hard as you would for 100. I'm honest with you, so long as you don't try and screw me, because then I can be evil too. And life's been good. I haven't ripped. I mean, I haven't. You know, I thought of somebody before I came on, and I was thinking, look at Putin. He's causing this problem in Russia, and not just him. There's a whole load of them. We got the same here in America, and we've got our wonderful guy with the funny haircut in London. But I don't want to get into politics, but why is it that most people on this planet, we think, what are we going to do? We're going to make enough money so we can retire and relax. That is the majority of people on this planet. And yet we've got these people stinking rich who could retire, and all they do is make problems for people. And I'm thinking, what? I get up in the morning, I sit outside, have a cup of coffee and smell the roses, and I pick up my guitar and I play my music and I have my friends over. What do these people do?
I got to ask you, Carl, now, do you have a podcast, or do you want to start a podcast on the net? Because I reckon you'll have a great podcast.
No, I don't want to do all that. I'm happy. I know Cathy, I know a Tony that does it, Tony Coach. I have some very good friends. I have a lot of my musical friends now are all from the bar. They've all stayed my friends. That's another thing. Treat people well. I mean, you know, I used to go out and help them unload their stuff into the bar, not leave them out there in the rain, wait until 7:30 to let them in. If it's raining outside, let them in early. You know what I mean? It's an attitude.
That's normal. That's normal.
What I consider normal.
Yeah, that's right. What you consider. But we won't get into all that stuff. We want to know now musically more about yourself. Are you able to grab a guitar or something and play something?
This is what I like doing.
Okay.
I love melody.
Are you a Bob Dylan fan?
No.
Okay. I just want to ask you, do you know that song Like a Rolling Stone?
Hang on, what's this? E, I think. Yeah, I think this is E. It's E. I like anything with a melody.
That's it. You're a musician, you can tell.
Do you know that one?
Yeah, I do. It's coming to me.
Oh, I remember one. What's another favourite of mine I used to play was I was underneath. Do you know that one? It's an Australian song.
Yeah, but there's a lot of Australian songs. But let me tell you, do you know anything from the 60s?
So, songs from the 60s? No. All mine were like, let's think. Ewan McCall songs, they're all from the 60s, yeah. Farewell to. I gotta get my voice into line with this. Farewell.
We had a song called My Old Man's a Dustman. He wears a dustman's hat.
How about Cottonwood Joe? You were named Cottonwood Joe for a reason. Can you do that song? The
Which
Joe
one?
Cottonwood Joe song, the one you were mentioning. The Cottonwood song.
Cottonwood song.
Cottonwood?
Yeah, Joe. The Joe song you were
The
talking
Joe
about.
song. Joe song.
I don't know that one.
Do you know anything by Joe Brown?
It's something about he was underneath the car. They woke me with a star. Saying,
I know that one.
where the hell's the damn sheep?
I don't know. Do you know Joe Brown? Joe Brown?
Oh, that was. There's a lot of. Pop went out one weary night, pray for the moon to give him light. Many, many miles to go that night before he reached the town of.
So great. You must have entertained a lot of people in your lifetime and had fun doing it.
Oh, I play and sing at home all the time now. I don't play out and sing. My voice has gone to what it used to be. I tend to sing loud as well, which is I think that most people sing too low. And when you sing in a pub, have you noticed people say you're singing too high? And I go, no, I'm singing at C so I can go up and down on the octaves. But they sing, oh, and then they can't go any lower, so it dies. And then I like teaching people that if they learn 3 chords, they can play almost anything. You know, I always tell them, and I try to introduce people to music, because if you understand music and you can hear sound, you must be able to hear other sounds like birds. You must start to appreciate what's around you. I had a friend years ago, oh God, when around about the 1960s, I suppose, and he was a school teacher, and he said to me, I try and teach all my students classical music. And he said, I honestly believe that if they have an appreciation of music and can understand it, they'll start appreciating other things, you know, the nature that's around you, the color of stones. I collect pebbles and stones. The colors are amazing. I mean, an artist couldn't do it. And I feel that's why music's important. And if you can learn just 3 chords, and my favorite, I got Tony doing this, C, F, and G. And there's so many like, all alone in the mighty jungle. In the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. It's so easy. You can entertain someone. You can go to a party and at least do something, you know? Do you remember that one? They turned our local pally into a bowling alley. Well, very simple, but it's fun.
It's amazing. A lot of young people will watch this and pick things up. Now, I just want to say, Cathy, have you got any more questions for Carl?
Well, can you hear me, you guys?
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Well, we always joke, Carl, about the CCCC, the country corner. Can you tell us about it?
Well, that's, yeah. See, you need to ask me questions because Carl's Cozy Corner Cafe, there's 4 C's or the 4 seasons, I don't know. Anyway, what I do is I throw a show on here in the backyard and I build a stage, and I love building things. I paint, I draw, I decorate. I was the decorator for Thai Cultural Day for 10 years. I love wood carvings. So what I do is I build a stage here and I set it all up, and then anybody can come and play. And we obviously have our favourites. You know, there's a Sandra McCutt band that's played here. So I built a saloon with all cowboy hats and the saloon bar thing across the top like a cowboy town. And then I built one that was all gardens and flowers and plants that I have. It's a lot of fun, and they can come and jam here. I have a big living room. It's 37 feet long, actually. So they can all come and sit around and jam after the party in the evening, and I put all the coloured lights up and everything. I love it. It's fun. And I've got a swimming pool. It's not big, but it's a nice shape. And what I've done is I put in myself under the water, instead of the white lights, I have these ones that change colour, LED coloured lights. And so the whole thing is a master colour, you know, it's a lot of fun. And we had a guy that played 15 years with the Kingston Trio. He came over here, he played here, and we had another guy flying from New York. We've had some good times here, you know.
It's amazing. It's amazing that you have a lot of trades, like, you know, you said electrician, carpenter, whatever. It all helps, doesn't it?
Well, I always have this attitude that if you want to get on in life, you've got to know what's going on. And as I said, education is so important because, as I said, I was an electrician. I left there. I ran a bar for about a year. I ran a print factory, a chief convener of the union. I brought them out on strike. We won some good conditions. Then I left. And then I ended up, I think that's when I got into possibly the supermarket business. Anyway, I soon got promoted. I got promoted almost every 2 weeks, from floor cleaner when I went in to eventually the manager of the warehouse. And then I brought them all out on strike, and we beat Tesco supermarkets, it was. So there's proof that I'm telling the truth. At West Wickham in Kent, Tesco's. And I became a manager, and then I left to work for Shepherd's Foods in London as a manager. Oh, there's some stories there I can tell you too. Anyway, then I met Eutha Joyce. She was a famous actress, comedian in London, and she was a friend of mine. I went to her parties. I was much younger. She fancied me, I found out. She showed me her bedroom with all the mirrors on the ceiling, which was fun. But then I left there, and over here I ran I was manager at an art store for a couple of times because he asked me to come back and sort it out again. And then I owned a yogurt shop here for a while. I sold that. I ran a coffee concession here. I also was a notary. I passed the notary exam. So all these things, they help. And then, of course, I was buying and selling property in London. So that was a good thing for me. But the big thing that's always been in my life are these.
Yeah, Carl, before we go and we wrap it up now, I've got to ask you, do you have any links if anyone wants to contact you on the net? Where can they see you on Facebook, or where are you on the net? Anywhere?
Nope.
Okay. So
I told you this. I'm busy here. I have a nice garden I look after, and I have an electric bike which I go on, and I got my music.
So you're basically semi-retired, relaxing. You're having a great life. Is that it?
I just had a week in Miami which is like 2,400 miles away from here. It's like going to a foreign country, you know, and that was fun. That was fun. But other than that, you know, I'm quite happy to get involved with people, but I don't want to be the boss.
Of course, I get it, Carl. Now, we've run out of time. We want to thank you so much for being on the show. Cathy, Carl has been great. I got to tell you, I appreciate the love that you show in the world, your enthusiasm, your musicianship, sharing your stories with us today. It's been fantastic. And we appreciate you being on Gemstars with us.
Thank you, Carl. Really, this has been.
It's nice to have a chat with people with this, with all the masks and the inoculations.
And I like your sense of humor. That's a great thing. Okay, we'll see you again next time right here on Gemstars.
See you, brother.
Yep. I'm just saying that's, hang on.